existed. My people were an ancient race. Now they are gone, and only I remain, keeper of my people's history.
Aha! Yeah. It's been a week since I last did this. We're live on the twitch.tv/theXisuma. And the auto updates. Oh, we love auto updates. Slobs auto updated and decided that I couldn't stream unless I had to upgrade my drivers. Oh, why do they do this? So I was about to hit live and get going after the auto update, and then I can't even stream. I have to reinstall some drivers and la la la. We're a little late getting going here. Also, notice as I walk back and forth, some big lag spikes. It's happening. It always happens. Happens too soon in this game, if you ask me. It's Jens. Thank you ever so much for resubscribing for 10 months. Appreciate it. And thank you all the peeps for waiting around and being patient. Also, we've had a ton of new Patreons signing up to play on the Let's Play Minecraft Together server after we did a little integration advert on an Hermitcraft episode. Daniel Cypher, Alan Hagers, Cheese King of Denmark, Sean Lewis, KJ Whippy, Finn, Bartshee, Angry K9's back, King Chadwick, and Zealotus. Thank you all for signing up via Patreon to play on the Let's Play Minecraft Together server. I'm assuming that's why you've all signed up. We've had a whole bunch of new sign-ups. Today the plan is to kind of essentially finish off the Wastelands area. I don't know if we'll actually finish it, but we'll at least put down the guidelines for where everything's going to go. So we've got the beacon, we've got the stone. I'm just kicking up some of the terrain here. Trying to get some contours together, and we've got lots of blocks to place. This stream as well as mine. It's good to be back. We'll talk about my vacation as well in this stream. Conboy, thank you ever so much for 60 months. You know what 60 months means. That means you're officially evil. Oh, you ghastly devil. You keep subscribing. How mean of you. Ryan, RDB Photo LLC, thank you for 4 months. Doofus230 for 6, and Tanny Glaze for 32. Greatly appreciated. It's good to be back. It doesn't really feel that weird. I mean, I didn't go away for that long, right? So I've been away for a week. Skiing in a vacation in Austria. Having a fantastic time. And I'm back. And I'm ready to get back into the, you know, the usual groove, the normality. If you're wondering what's going on here with the grass and the dirt, those are actually to kind of like outline blocks that are going to be different at a later date. As I was doing some prep work, because we're going to come over here and convert the terrain into stone. And this is going to brush up right alongside where Corrales is building. So I'm going to just put in a little bit more stone here and then kind of wait for him to do his thing. And then see how everything will line up, right? Trim87, thank you for subscribing. Daniel, 7101, here for 45 months. In solidarity with Will Smith, I too will not be attending the Oscars for the next 10 years. Yeah, I think there's a topic that so many people decided to talk about that everyone suffered from a little bit of fatigue around it, and everyone wants to probably move on from talking about it now. Also, Mayskull's here for 85 months. Goodness me. Goodness me, what a crazy number. Thank you for all you do, my dude. Thanks for helping out with Hermitcraft while I was away as well. Greatly appreciated. Schwam355 here with the Prime Winnie T Ford for 49 months. Thank you, Winnie. I did have a great holiday. I really did. I knew I would. I love skiing. I haven't been for 2 years. For obvious reasons. And just kind of reminded me how much I love it. It's such a great activity. This might be a little bit too close over here. So yeah, getting back to the Will Smith thing. Like, I did a video about it. I got a lot of comments. People give me their thoughts and opinions. One of the biggest takeaways for me, one of the things that I think is not productive to do, is to fall into the trap of being like, oh, it's just celebrities or whatever. Alright? Because what's important about why so many people are talking about it and speculating on it and discussing it is because they are celebrities. Now, if that makes you, oh, you know, I don't care. The point is that these are people with a lot of attention on them, a lot of, like, eyeballs, and so they have a lot of influence, sort of passive or actively, and the way they behave affects and shapes our society. If you think of someone who has a lot of eyeballs on them who you might not first think of as a celebrity, i.e. like a leader of a country, their actions are sort of amplified, right? Like, It doesn't make big news when some random person slaps some other random person, which probably happens more often than it should. But because it's celebrities, it means, you know, a big portion of the world is watching this take place. And therefore, what does it mean? What does it say about our society? So I think it's really important not to be dismissive of such things. And everyone's probably, you know, heard so much about it they don't really care at this point, which is, you know, fatigue, it's a thing. But the point that I just wanted to make after reading my own comments on my little video about it was just, you know, not to fall into that trap. Because it's important to discuss those sorts of events. As in a way, it's a big deal, right? Like, someone like Will Smith with the reputation he's got, just standing up and slapping someone over a joke, like, it's a lot to take in. Marvel or DC, says Acewanth88. I say get rid of both of them. What? Tyler14A, subscribing. Charmer96. Immy160 for 24 months, 2 years. Asta Car Parks here for 11. Mark New is here for 5. Cole Mix here for 13. We got Hedgehog 403 for 13 as well. Jod Ray. Wait, am I saying it right? I've said it wrong, didn't I? Joe Dragon. Oh god, my brain is terrible. Here for 24 months. Hey all, 2 years and I'm still here. Hope your vacation was awesome. I get a 3-day weekend this week because Thursday is my birthday. Oh, happy birthday in advance. Y'all have fun because I have to hurry back now. Well, I'll see you soon then. Have a great birthday and enjoy the 3-day weekend. We got Veduko here with the Prime, and Trim is gifting subs. Oh, sorry, I'm saying it wrong. Tirim87 to Rob and Doombolt. Be sure to say thanks in the chat if you just were gifted a sub, if you heard your name read out loud, because we, of course, we all appreciate the gifting of the subs over here. And I shall press the button for the animation. Dear Shemi, thank you for 52 months. Dante Red Eye, thank you for 27. Appreciate it. Appreciate it ever so much. I loved your April snapshot video, says Rock Metal. I'm glad you did. I had so little time to make that. I was like, I'm just going to go in there and have a little bit of fun. I was thinking of how I live stream and I'm like goofy on my streams, and I thought, let's just bring a little bit of that over to the video, have fun with it, as opposed to what I would normally do, which is try and discover all the secrets and that kind of stuff. And I literally had to like hit upload and publish the video and then walk out the door to go on my holiday. So I'm glad I did it. It was good fun, but like that was all I could do. I wanted to play around with it a bit more, but that's all the time I had, unfortunately. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. Dear Shemi says 52, so many months. Oh yes, that's what time does. It just keeps adding up and passing by, doesn't it? Forgil says to someone in chat he has a Twitter post. Yeah, I shared some images on Twitter. And also, if you're a skin maker and you fancy making me a skin based on the Minecraft egg, I've had a few submissions. I'm currently looking to have a little bit of fun and change up my skin for an episode related to some activities going down on the server. And so, you know, I could do a bit of a botch job myself, but I thought I'd ask the community because so often do many of you come up with just like amazing creative designs. So if you want to get on that, if you want to help out, I'm looking for a skin. That's all going down on Twitter. Twitter's my kind of place for interacting on that kind of level, I guess. We got Soul Voxet here for 5 months. We got Panatu Zero here for 24 months, saying, did you get any inspiration this season from the vacation? Great question. Yes, I did get a bit of Hermitcraft inspiration, but honestly, I think my biggest takeaway from my vacation was more like real life inspiration. I had to, you know, just transition from one lifestyle to another, right? That's how vacations work. You all of a sudden just shift gears completely, and it was actually that I was more inspired for. I was like, I need more of this. I need more of just life moving at a different pace, right? It feels like even though I'm aware of it and I try not to do it, like I'm always on a bit of a perpetual treadmill of doing things, and sometimes it's kind of nice just to not really have much to do. And there was a little bit of downtime here and there that I thoroughly enjoyed. I just, you know, kind of hung out, relaxed, not trying to get something done. It was kind of good. It was like a little bit of a a break for the mindset, I guess you could say. Curls of Doom is here for 10 months, saying, I quote a quote I really enjoyed from the book Factfulness, which I've read, by the way. I really like that book. In fact, resist blaming any one individual or group of individuals for anything, because the problem is that when we identify the bad guy, we are done thinking, and it's almost always more complicated than that. It's almost always about multiple interacting causes in a system. If you really want to change the world, you have to understand how it actually works and forget about punching anyone in the face. That is a great quote. I like it. It's a little different from how I would choose to like express something like that, I guess. I don't actually, I read the whole book, so you're not going to remember every line of every book that you've read. But yeah, the general sentiment of that is pretty on point, I guess. I think the problem with like bad guys and stuff is it's like an oversimplification to think of things as like just being good and evil or wrong and right, and that oversimplification can dilute one's understanding of what's really going on. Because what's going on, as they've pointed out, is usually quite complex and difficult to understand. And I think what I need to do now is fill up a shulker box with some blocks. Some goodies! Oh my goodness me, I've got so much grass on me. Right, Ali Kai is here for 3 months. We got Celestial Moss here with some cheers and bits saying, I'm liking your Season 9 a lot. Thank you, I'm glad you are. I'm kind of like ready to move out of this area, I think. I will continue to like complete my projects and stuff, but some of the other hermits have started to move out. It's starting to get laggy here. I've had a bit of inspiration to crack on with my main project for the season, and yeah, I feel like in a couple of episodes we'll start to shift gears and do things a little different. So I'm looking forward to it. How was the book called? It was called Factfulness. It's about looking at the world through the lens of facts. You know, there's a lot of negative outlook on the world these days, and not to be dismissive, there are certainly reasons to be to look at the future a little negatively, but when you take the historical perspective and you look at actual statistical information about the well-being of people in this world, it seems to be at a big odds with the general perception, right? I mean, when I was growing up, it was all doom and gloom for the future, and it's taken a little bit of personal growth for that to change. And I don't know who you listening thinks of the world and what the future might be, but when you take the historical perspectiveness and you put things through the lens of statistics instead of emotions, you get a picture of a world that's rapidly reducing the suffering and improving the living conditions of people. And it just feels like often there's a narrative that doesn't seem to add up with, yet that's what's happening. Puzzle Threk, thank you for 47 months. Olaf Vloss, thank you for 10 months. Hey mate, really enjoying the content for Season 9 so far. Glad to hear it. I've had a lot of positive encouragement from peeps, so really good to see many of you enjoying it. Just sort of scouting out some lines for the terrain here. Oops, why am I placing gravel now? I want to be placing stone. Girls of Doom, thank you for gifting a sub to Sunny Zero. Greatly appreciated. Sunny, be sure to say thanks in chat. Also, Rebenta Minis is here for 11 months as well. Greatly appreciated. That depends highly on the definition of suffering, which is in itself subjective, says Super Wimo. Well, that's the thing. Like, sure, suffering can be subjective, but we're talking about measurable things, right? Things from statistics that are not subjective, like access to clean water and food and clothing and these basic necessities of life, which every one person has a different experience of, and that can shape your overall view of the world if your circumstance is obviously not so great. But speaking in terms of populations and you know, averages, there is a lot of good that has taken place in the world, and that's what the book tends to shine a light on. It's like, you know, let's get away from thinking emotionally and have a little bit of a statistical look at things. And, you know, obviously we've got problems to solve and we shouldn't give up trying to solve them, but it's not all doom and gloom. There's a pattern of progress taking place. Is essentially part of what the book's about. It's really worth a read. I found it such an eye-opening book. Made me realise that a lot of my perspectives were driven by emotion and ideas that were not actually backed up by proper information, just theories and whatnot. And theories and fear. A lot of it's driven by fear sometimes as well. Right, we'll have a little dip in the ground or something there. And yeah, in general, we're just trying to tear out a lot of this gravel, get something solid going with the stone, like a broad layout. This area here where Scar is, I'm just going to kind of leave be. I think the copper blocks are supposed to be his border. So we're going to be ripping out all of this grass over here and kind of bringing the wastelands around the corner over to this spot. Is generally the idea. There's Impulse, just potentially being AFK. We've been raided. Yo, Meekstar, thank you ever so much for the raid, my dude. Greatly appreciated. Welcome all the raiders to the stream. Cole Hokobaya, thank you for 5 months. You think the base looks cool? That's nice to hear. Thank you. Becca11 is here for 20 months saying, I have a joke about time travel, but I'm not going to share it. You guys didn't like it. Wait a minute. Doesn't that mean I've already heard your joke about time travel? I can't recall you ever telling me a joke about time travel. Then again, you could have told me a while ago, so kudos. I'll give you that one, Becca. I'll give you that one. Goddamn time travelers. Always messing with my brain. And the space-time continuum. Stop messing with it. Yeah. Black Steel, thank you for 53. Oh, sorry, 10 months. Greatly appreciated. Goose Galaxy 29 here with the Prime. Thank you for your support as always, peeps. Impulse is streaming too, says Mr. Big Zilla. Ah, that explains it. That explains why he's standing over there, staring into the sun. Because that is what one does when they live stream. They stare into the sun. Don't they? I do it, at least. Right, so now you can see I'm starting to run out of stone. And I should have a box full of stone here. Yep. What I also need is some useful blocks. Like those ones. Those are useful, those blocks. That's why I labelled it as such. Put that down in here. Where's my stone? Love it. Ooh. Oh, it's so good. Need like a fire and a shaman dance or something. I also kind of need to maintain my little entrance down to that area. Where should we start? I feel like what I should definitely do is probably this area. This is something I'm going to focus on soon, so we should start to make all of this look good, you know? And all the fancy stuff with the slabs and the stairs, that'll come shortly, don't you worry. And probably just putting it straight over the terrain might be just the smartest and easy way to take care of this. Who is trying to ring me now? Don't you know I'm streaming? I'm expecting extra nerdy yodel after a week in the Austrian Alps. Come on. I can't even think of how to yodel right now. Like the sound of it. I know it's yodeling. Like that, isn't it? There you go. It's coming back to me. Yodeling. I don't know. It's something like that. Dang, it's been a long time since I've heard someone yodel. Yodel, is that a new type of Wordle? Yeah, it's like Wordle mixed with YOLO. You only live once, right? Yodel. You only get to do this Wordle once. Speaking of YOLO, I had a couple of YOLO moments out on the slopes. went down some blacks. I'm pretty sure I've been down a couple of blacks in the past, but the ones that I went down this time were definitely the steepest. Right, I guess it's time for holiday talk. Big Phil, 87, thank you for 6 months. Fegley, thank you for 13, greatly appreciated. Mr. Beardstone says, afternoon, or I heard a yodel. I apparently might have been yodel. What is a black slope, says Grill Cheesy. A black slope is the steepest of slopes. Dorvalama, thank you ever so much for 13 months, greatly appreciated. So you have green for beginners, which are very gentle. Blues are, you know, also sort of for beginners, but a little steeper, as you would imagine. When you get to a sort of intermediate stage, you have the reds, and then you have blacks, which are, you know, there's a variety of steepnesses, so I'm not going to say they're for experts. Like, in some areas you have like double black and double black diamond. Those are for experts. I kind of went down a black that an intermediate could handle, and I'm a self-taught skier, essentially, so I had lessons when I was a kid, and when I started skiing again, like 5 years ago, you know, I just kind of did it off of memory, and my technique and stuff is probably pretty pants, but I can get down the slopes competently. And I crashed a couple of times. First day there, you know, I thought I'd crash on the first day. Nope, did pretty good. Mostly stuck to blues. Did some reds later in the day. And then on the second day, there was this, we went to this place called Ishgao, right? And I swear not, on the first day I saw someone who's a splitting image of Ishgao, right? A Swedish Viking just up there on the slopes. And I had to take twice. I was like, that guy looks like Ishgao, but Ishgao's not on a skiing vacation. Ishgao and Ishgao. This place was, compared to previous places that I'd been to, I would say aesthetically the mountains are always beautiful, but the slopes, the parts you can ski down, not quite as interesting as I remember other places being. And I think it's because it's quite like open. It's a high up resort, so you have like just not a lot of trees basically. And when I thought of some of the skiing routes that I remembered previously, one of the big things were like tree lines and like skiing through the woods. And then this one place that had a frozen waterfall and like a frozen lake that you would ski around on this like gentle long slope. It had this one route, I think it was 80, red 80, that goes through a valley, and it goes all the way down into this Swiss town. And when you get to the Swiss town, there's like a mile-long, very gentle slope that you end up walking across, and it takes you all the way down to the gondola. It's pretty amusing, actually. Like, the first time, the ski route was absolutely amazing to go through, and the second time it was all a bit chopped up, the snow, and that kind of meant that, you know, like, the skiing was tougher, and you had to focus a bit more on it, and you could enjoy the landscape a little less. Anyway, it was a beautiful skiing vacation, and I had lots of food, and I lost a lot of weight. I can barely believe it. I lost 2 kilograms. So I went from, you know, like calorie counting all the time to then intuitively eating, as I call it. And every day they served like eggs and sausages and cheese. I ate so much meat. Austrian food, I have learned, is mostly meat and potatoes. So I'd have a big breakfast, then out on the slopes we'd get a meal, and then dinner in the evening was amazing. They had a salad bar, so you could just help yourself to tons of salad, which I did. And then I had a 4-course set meal, which is something I don't normally have. So every day it was like a surprise as to what you're going to eat. And it was like the chef was a bit more on the fancy side with the cooking. I had so much interesting food to eat. On the first day, I ate a baby octopus. Okay, it looked like a baby octopus. And it was cooked, and it was salty and rubbery. And I ate one, and I thought, never again. Never again. Yeah, so like the first meal that we had though, like they served us lasagna, and the lasagna was a really small portion. I thought, uh-oh, this is not enough food for me to be consuming. But anyway, as the week went on, every day there was like appetizers, a soup, a main meal and a dessert, and I really like dessert when it's in a small portion. It was just a very small portion of dessert, and it was something different every time, and the portions got bigger too, so that was good. But while I was out there, I had schnitzel, which was cool. I had Gordon Bleu, which is probably one of my favourites. I had a currywurst sausage, which is just a sausage with this curry sauce, and then another type of sausage, a more spicy one. I had it with an alternative to just fries, because a lot of stuff gets served with fries over there. And this was, let me think, it was like potatoes sort of cooked up a little raw. I don't know how to describe it really, but like cooked with onions and stuff. Don't know how you describe that kind of dish, but I liked it. I also had one with potato salad. We went to a restaurant one night and had a gnocchi dish. I had so much good food, and I can't believe how much weight I lost. So I was using my Fitbit every day, and it was telling me like, you know, 3,500 calories or something like that a day. I think it was way more. I think even though like it's monitoring my heart rate and giving me an estimation, I reckon the activity just really like took a number on my body, because every day my legs were like shattered. Oh, and in the place we stayed at, they had a sauna. Right, and I haven't been to a sauna since I was a kid. And when I saw they had one, I was like, I am taking this opportunity and I am going in the sauna. And pretty much every day, I would sit in the sauna for at least 15 minutes. And they had a wet room sauna as well. And dang, immediately it felt so good for my body and all of my muscles. Like, I'd also, you know, been working out consistently for a long time. And something like a hot bath. I don't have a bath in my house. If I have the opportunity to have a hot bath, that makes like a good difference to the muscles. So I really felt the whole body loosen up after going into this sauna. And it was like a little bit of therapy. They also had a chromotherapy. Chrono or chromo? I think it's chrono. Chronotherapy sauna room, where it shines different lights, different light colors at you, and it rotates through like a spectrum of light colors. And I did a little tiny bit of research, and the people like selling and pushing that technology are just citing like, oh, the Egyptians and the Mayans did this, and I'm like, yeah, that's not science. That sounds like pseudoscience to me. Chronotherapy would involve time. Chromo is color. Yeah, so it's chromo. Got it wrong. Chromo. Sunny Zero says, I always have a hot bath. If I had a bath in the house, next house I move to, definitely want to have a bath. But if I had a bath, I'd probably have like twice a week. I also feel like it's quite therapeutic. So you don't like just have to have a bath for the sake of, you know, muscle relaxation or whatever. It can also just be a nice time to like listen to something or just, you know, zone out a little bit, enjoy the heat. Anyway, it's encouraged me to go look up and see if there's any like local sauna places, because dang, like it was so good. I'm like, I could do with that every week. Blopes 2019, thank you for the prime. Another JT is here for 58 months. Dorva Llama is here for 13. And I think we already read this one out. Begley, thank you for 13 months. Appreciate it. If I read it out twice, I guess there's nothing wrong with that, right? Zach L16, thank you for 9, saying, I hope you had a good time in Austria, X. As an ostrich myself, that's a country I've always wanted to visit. Me too. Wait, by saying ostrich, do you mean Australian? Because ostriches, the animal, are native to... I don't think they're native to Europe. I don't know if they're native to Australia. Jeez. I'm probably just butchering up what you're saying, aren't I? I thought ostrich was going to be like a nickname for Austrians, I guess. We've got Armored Monkey here for 45 months, saying a whole 5 babies. Gonna have to start paying university fees for them soon. Hope all is well with you. All is good with me, my dude. Thank you. Fern is here for 3 months, saying, hey SU, I've been busy with work and wasn't able to catch any streams since Hermitcraft 8. It's nice to have free time again. Glad to have you with us. Season 8 was a while ago. It's a whole new season now. And I'm enjoying this one much more than Season 8. Personally, for reasons I've expressed. Yeah, glad to have you with us. Rick Crow, even. Here for 2 months. Thank you, Rick Crow. Hope you're enjoying this one. Right, let's just start layering the stone on top of everything else here. That's the way we're going to achieve the Wastelands look in this spot. I have just decided it. I have just decided it. It's just Ishgal. No A in there. Okay, Curls, I've added in an A. Ishgal. Because Iskal. Blame Iskal. Hashtag blame Iskal. Why are you enjoying Season 9 more? Says my name isn't Pez. Pez? I'm going to call you Pez. Because that's blatantly your name. I got a better mindset. I got a better idea on how to play this season than I did last time. So I'm enjoying it more because of that. So yeah, going back to the skiing stuff, like, yeah, everything went really smooth. There was, you know, no problems. The ski lifts there are impressive. Now, I don't know if we went at a time maybe influenced a little bit by COVID and traveling at the moment, but like, there was not queues to get on the ski lifts, and whenever there was, it was like literally no more than a couple of minutes. And the ski lifts there are known for being really fast. So I feel like the skiing trip was pretty intense compared to other ones that I've been on, because we were just constantly up and down and then only stopping once a day to have like a little break. What was it I had? Gurnkanoodle. So my dad, who I go skiing with, has a sweet tooth and loves pudding, and I don't really like pudding. I mean, it sounds weird to say that, right? But I've gone from eating pudding, who wouldn't want to eat some pudding, right? Whatever it is, it's a treat. And then being conscious of like what it's doing to your body, having all that sugar, trying to enjoy whole foods and less sugary stuff more, and then, you know, being able to feel the effects of what that's doing to your body, like quite sensitively now. If I have something really sugary, it kind of messes with me a bit. And so I had this Gurnkanoodle, and, you know, I had a few bites and it was alright, and as soon as I started to have like my 4th, 5th bite or whatever, it's just too much. Too sugary. It's kind of really stodgy pudding thing. A tiny little Gurnkanoodle would have been awesome. This was like a bowl belly-filling portion of Gurnkanoodle. So I didn't have any other pudding. I was very tempted to have some apple strudel. I remember having something similar to that, like a mincemeat apple strudel in Rome that was just unbelievable. But I didn't. I just, you know, stuck to eating salads and the various meals. Wanted to try something different every time. I had goulash on my last day there, which is cool. Don't you feel that Fitbits are a little bit commanding, says Jesper. No, I think you need to look at a Fitbit like it's a tool, like a hammer or a nail or whatever. Like, it's how you interact with it that is positive or negative. I can totally understand if someone doesn't like looking at a thing on their wrist and seeing a number. For me, like, hey, I want to achieve this, I want to achieve that with my health and fitness. It felt like tools like calorie counting and Fitbits kind of helped gamify it a little bit for me, so I could reach targets and goals and understand how, like, the activities I was doing was impacting my body, and get a better understanding of like what foods to eat and how my body just kind of does day to day, right? And yeah, like, I can't say it will work that way for everyone, but I think it's important to realize that if you look at it like it's a tool rather than saying it's a good or a bad thing, then it's really about the person and what ideas they have in their head and how they choose to interact with it. X, how many times do you eat a day, says Hixel. I eat normally 2 meals a day and then 1 on my days that I don't work out. But after going from doing that for a long time to then, as I call it, intuitively eating, just having 3 meals a day. And by the way, it was really weird because I did not feel hungry a lot. Like, my days were so different and active and novel that I was just not... I'm in a hole! I was just, like, not really feeling those hunger spikes, right? If I'm at home, you know, just doing work, there's so many cues and distractions available to start thinking about food. When you're out there on the slopes, just skiing one after the other, you know, you've had a breakfast first thing in the morning, you're skiing for ages, you end up getting a little bit hungry about midday, you know, have something to eat, crack on with the skiing, before you know it, the day's over, you're back at the hotel, and then there's food before long as you're getting ready. Like, it's just such a nice sort of motion, constantly going through a motion, and then, oh, and now it's time to eat. And yeah, very, very different from what I normally do, and I liked it. I like having a break and just intuitively eating for once. And I could have eaten more. I've, as I said, I lost 2 kilos. I was so shocked. But it actually puts me very close to my overall fitness goal, which is to get below 10% body fat. I'm now at something like under 11%. So, you know, once I get to like down to 10%, that's just going to be like my maintenance goal, and then I'll just be able to enjoy so much more food because I'll have finally like gotten to what I was aiming for. So yeah, yeah, the food there was just really great. To do something different, to eat different. Definitely going to try and make some homemade schnitzel or Gordon Bleu at some point. How does one find out their body fat percentage, says Monstrix? There's a few different ways. You can do like calculations with like weight and height and stuff, which are estimates. I've got a scale that kind of picks up more metrics than just weight. Because I don't know how it does it, but you have to touch your feet without socks, like onto these sensors, and they supposedly pick up a little more information than you might expect that way, and it can calculate a few more things like your bone mass, your muscle mass, and it gives you a body fat percentage. And you know, if that's accurate or not, what's important is that if I just keep using that same scales, like the measurement that it's giving me is something to sustain and aim for, right? That's one of those things about like calorie counts or whatever. Someone's talking negatively about it, like, oh, it isn't really actually that number or anything. It's like, yeah, it's all. Sometimes it's a bit of guesswork. Sometimes it's not 100% accurate, but it'll be accurate within a range, and that range can be useful to you. It uses electricity through your legs, so it's not that accurate. I mean, the scales that I use, I don't know. Maybe that's one method they do it. But again, like, you know, how much accuracy do you need? Because I might be getting just enough accuracy for what I need. It's not like I have to strictly have 10% body fat or something. It's just, you know. Grilled Cheesy says, how do you gain muscle mass if you have a fast metabolism? I think that idea of like having a fast metabolism is a little bit of a myth, honestly. I could really go down with like a rabbit hole in explaining why. There's so many factors to metabolism, and one of the really interesting ones is about fidgetiness. I think it's a system that they abbreviate as NEAT. I never remember what it stands for, but like some people are just generally more fidgety and move about naturally than others. I'm one of those people. If I sit down to watch a movie, right, I will get up and move about at least 5 to 10 times. I just have to do something. Like, oh, I've got to get up and move about and, you know, put on the kettle, make a cup of tea, and now I want to get a drink of water. Like, I just don't sit still for long very well. Things like that apparently actually make like a huge difference to your overall metabolism. There's other factors like age and whatnot, but you know, like having a fast metabolism, as I perhaps do or don't understand it, not really sure. In my mind, that isn't really a problem for putting on muscle, because like I think hormone and diet is probably more important to building muscle, and obviously stimulus. Like you need to stimulate the muscle growth, you need to be eating right, and your hormones can affect how well. It would be sort of my guess as to the factors involved. Not so much like metabolism. I mean, because like if your metabolism's fast, you can get through food fast, right? And food is used to build the muscles, so. Clown Pierce is king. So scales are weird. There's too many choices. They all weigh different. Well, each scale, no two scales can be identical, so they'll all have some differences. But I mean, to what extent you're saying they're different, I don't know. Like, surely they can't be that massively different. Oh, on this scale I weigh 200 kilograms, on this other one I weigh 100. Like, clearly there's something wrong with that then. God, this music's a bit foreboding now, isn't it? All of a sudden, it's all a bit foreboding. Zarkagoa, thank you for 15 months. Liger Gaming, 23, almost 2 years. And MB Menace, here for 4. Hope you had a good vacation. Love seeing the streams. Yeah, so the vacation was great. The first day was quite cold, but clear skies. The weather forecast was always a bit worse than it was it actually ended up being. So the first day was like cold but clear skies. The second day was a little bit warmer. I got my layers right every day, and I had like one day where I got sweaty, and that was it. But otherwise, like, I didn't really sweat much at all. I find it a bit weird, like how I don't really sweat a lot. But anyway, I definitely sweated in the sauna. Goodness me, dripping head to toe. So, what was I going to say? Like, there was this one day where it got kind of like cloudy early on, and then it got completely overcast. And I find skiing, the two things that make skiing really difficult for me are visibility and how chopped up the slopes are. So when you go out first thing in the morning and there's like a fresh layer of snow, or like the piste has been freshly bashed, I love that. Just like whizzing around on the skis, having a great time, blazing down the slopes. Did plenty of like really fast skiing when it was appropriate. And then it gets chopped up the further the day gets on, and it gets harder and harder to ski on the chopped up snow. It can be really taxing. On the last day, my legs were shattered, and like going down some of these slopes were just, so difficult. Like absolutely wearing me out. And I loved it nonetheless. But yeah, on this one day where it got like quite cloudy, the visibility went like really poor, to the point where we were going down blues, and my dad's a much better skier than me. I was really struggling to see, like, the snow. You need to see the snow, not as just a colour, but you need to see where all the details of the snow are. So you can see little piles of it, you can see the texture of it, so you can know if there's ice, or if it's, like, soft snow. And this is all stuff that you just learn to read the landscape for experience, which is something I was thinking about. Like, I was talking to some of my friends, I mentioned, hey, I'm on a skiing holiday, is this something y'all want to do at some point? And if I go on a skiing trip with my friends, I kind of realize, like, it takes a long time to learn. You need a good few holidays before you start whizzing down the slopes. It is a bit of a slow learning process. So I was sort of thinking about it from like a learner's perspective. There's so much stuff to learn. And one of them is just reading the slope, right? You can see the snow. So when the visibility goes low, when the clouds come out, there's not enough light diffusion, and so all of the snow tends to look flat. And it was disorienting to the point where I was going down like a gentle blue, and I just couldn't get my bearings. I was, struggling at every point, because you couldn't anticipate the kind of vibrations that would kind of go through your leg and the forces from the snow, and like anticipate and respond to that. You were just kind of constantly at the mercy of what felt like, the sort of random feedback, and it was really disorienting. You look off into the distance and you can't really tell the angle of the slope downwards, and so I really struggled with that. It was really tricky. And then as the day went on, right, the snow comes down heavier and heavier, to the point where at the end of the day we've taken the easiest slope we can find that's got a ski lift going up to it. A piste basher had actually rolled out and gone down it again, so like it was pretty good quality snow, and we're just going down this one slope over and over again, and you have to stop every 30 seconds. Oh, I just hit my mic. To like wipe your visor so you can see again, because it was getting covered in snow. That was the only day that we went in a little bit early. Went in 15 minutes early. It was like, okay, this is getting ridiculous, let's just go back. Droltis says Xisuma is so professional to talk and play that in some times it feels like this is not done by one person. Supposed to be a compliment. Thank you, thank you. I think I understand what you're saying. I've had a lot of practice talking. I also listen to a lot of people that talk, and I try and retain the better ideas, and those ideas that are, not wholly mine. I kind of believe nothing is wholly anyone's, but the ideas They permeate through society, and I try and hold on to the better ones and express them. How do you balance YouTube with your fitness goals, says King Boo? Just chopping up the time. Now streaming time. Earlier was recording time. Before that it was workout time. You just got to be on it and not get distracted. Which reminds me of something from my holiday. I had so little distraction going on. There was nothing happening on my phone because I didn't have data during the day, which I could have enabled, but I just couldn't be bothered to sort it all out. And when I come home again, I'm just reminded of like how much option and distraction there is. Like on the plane, I was trying to look for something to watch, and I couldn't make up my mind. It's like decision paralysis or like choice overload, something like that. Okay, I think a package just got delivered, so I need to make a note on my phone. Do not forget that. And it got me thinking a little bit about how when I was younger, when I was a teenager, there would be these movies that you like adored and, oh, I'm going to watch my favourite movie again. I don't really do that anymore, right? Maybe I'm due picking a favourite and watching it again. And then I thought, why is it? Why is it now that there's so much choice? And yet I'm struggling to like pick something to watch. And I think it's like the lack of choice actually makes you hold on to things a little closer. It's like you find something really good and it's like, oh, this is awesome. I love this show. I want to buy the DVD box set and watch it again, kind of thing. Maybe it's also because you had a bit more of a commitment. So much stuff is kind of air quotes free, you know, or the barrier to entry is very simple or easy. You know, you buy a pass to Netflix and you're not really thinking about how an individual show or movie would cost you anything because you've already paid for it in a way. So these kind of factors, like they shape your day to day, right? And for me, it's like I just keep noticing these moments of distraction and unease around content consumption. It's a bit of a weird phenomena, you know, being overloaded with choice and whatnot, and having this time to just do nothing but basically ski, and then like in the evening maybe watch a little bit of YouTube, but mostly just doing other stuff. Like the pace was so slow and easy, and the mind was so undistracted, and it felt great. And I just want to kind of like capture a bit of that and bring it into my routine. I'm just very aware though that my routine is going to quickly fall into being busy. And I've got all these commitments and things that I do and that I don't want to give up on. But if I maybe had just like a better relationship with free time, which might sound kind of strange, but it's like downtime for me used to like stress me out because it felt like, oh, I need to be productive. Maybe that's a bad way to think about it. I don't know. Like maybe I should put less time into all this stuff that I'm doing, right? And just have a bit more me time or something. I don't know. Just the holiday, you know, it totally shakes up your routine, gets you thinking about things like that. And y'all are like my therapist in a weird way. Just come over here and like vent. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. You know, I should take more questions from chat. We'll do that. We'll get to a discussion soon. I kind of just want to waffle on about the skiing a little bit longer. Yeah, so the visibility thing, right? Like, you can have different types of visors with different visibility, and I got orange ones, which are supposed to be pretty good for seeing, but, you know, they can only go so far, and so, yeah, I had these days where just the visibility was rather poor, and it was disorienting to kind of be in that environment, but, you know, got through it, and then the next day, the weather was better, and all in all, we got, like, a lot of sunlight, a lot of good weather, really. Some clouds came over here and there, and you know, on the last day, I remember we were going down this choppy red that was awful, probably one of the worst slopes after it had been chopped up all day. And as soon as the light came out, all of a sudden my skiing just got better, because then I could see again, then I could see where it was all going, and I could get a handle on how to go down the slope. I also did a speed test, yeah. There was this gate thing that you could push yourself down, and then like... I don't know, like some sort of measurement tool to see how fast you're going, right? Can y'all guess how fast I went on my skis? Okay. I had second-hand old skis, by the way. I'm going to buy some new ones. I'm going to buy a little bit of ski gear, and next year I want to go on several skiing holidays. I love it so much. I'm going to like do my best to like make it happen, because I don't know, it just felt so good to go on holiday again. So we got an 80 kilometers an hour, a 50, a 40, 45, 5 miles per hour. Well, the old guessing in kilometers are on the first bit, because yes, you know, the speed can be measured in miles or kilometers, but all I got is that kilometer number for you. I ain't got any other number that's useful. Now that kind of ties up this little bit here. And then we got this little entrancey bit here that I might just leave because it's more sort of in Scar's area. Alright, no one guessed it that I saw. 69 would have been an alpha move. God. Oh, 69, hee hee. Giggle wiggle. Giggity. It was 65, I think, if I remember correctly. 65 kilometers per hour. And I don't think I went any faster elsewhere, but I definitely caned it down a couple of slopes. There were some reds where like it would really kind of open up to more of a blue steepness, but because the slope is classified as a red, it means a lot of faster skiers go down it. So once you get past the steep bits, which are actually reds, then you have like these big expansive bits that are more like blues, but people cane it down it. And I was doing that too. I was, you know, getting some Need for Speed. Had Judas Priest's Free Will Burning stuck in my head. God, what a great band. I've always loved Judas Priest. And the weird thing is that they're the sort of band where it's like, I think I sort of dismissed a bit more of their discography without realizing it, because I kind of just know British Steel and then a bunch of classic songs, right? And I've seen them live a whole bunch of times, and I think they sound amazing, but I've never gotten like deep into their discography, and sort of by accident it's just been happening lately. And I started listening to Screaming for Vengeance before I went on holiday, and then like I was listening to it on holiday and it was just perfect. It was like, man, I absolutely love Judas Priest. Saucepan says, I can only get into Painkiller. Well, your next song is Free Will Burning. Try Bloodstone. Okay, write these down. This is your homework. Alright. Don't ignore it. I could actually put in a little bit of this here, since I know what's going on there. Free Will Burning, Bloodstone. Oh, what was the other one? I don't know. There's so many good songs. The Sentinel's another one I like. I just kind of realised that, like, this band are absolutely amazing, and I've just never really given them the time. I've always known that they're terrific, but just through like their best songs. And I'd probably put them like pretty high up on a list of like bands that I really like. And yet I haven't gotten that deep into the discography at all. So now I'm just like really, really digging it. Hey Prova, thank you for 49 months, my dude. Greatly appreciated. Also Daniel7101, thank you for gifting a sub to Etanoid OS for 17 months. Greatly appreciated. Thank you for the gifting of the subs. What was the band? Sorry, I missed it. Judas Priest, the legendary, the one and only. Heavy metal icons, I tell ya. Okay, they have a phenomenal sound. Phenomenal, just... oh, I love it. Yeah. So I had that stuck in my head while I'm blazing down these slopes at top speed. If I'm making it sound like, you know, bit over the top. Sometimes I went pretty darn fast, and I'm always like quite curious as to how close to like that chaos you actually are. Like that's what's weird about skiing for me, is that I feel like I'm quite close to, you know, a calamity, but yet you don't, and it comes with experience. Like last time I skied, I probably crashed a fair few more times than this one. I didn't crash on the first day, which I was really pleased about. On the second day, did I tell this story already today? I feel like I might have done. But we're going down a red slope that's further down the hills, so the snow starts to get a bit melty and slushy, which was kind of disappointing. We ended up staying like up top where it's high for the better snow a lot of the time. So anyway, down lower, the snow gets a bit slushy. There's a split in the path, and I picked the side that's a bit narrower, that's got trees around it, because I love skiing through the trees. And then all of a sudden the snow sort of turns yellow and it's a bit rough and annoying and sticky. And then, like, I don't know what happened. It happens in the blink of an eye. But I wasn't going fast. I was just kind of, you know, noodling along, perhaps getting a little bit bored and distracted because, you know, the snow was sticky and whatnot. And I just went face first, like, over my skis. I was straight into the snow. I was just like, oh, God. I was all right. Yeah, yellow snow. Not that yellow snow. Like, snow that's mixed with the dirt that's beneath it. It goes yellowy. All right? Dirty minds. God. Thinking about urination, are you? Jeez. You weirdo. I don't urinate. God. Right, where to go from there, then? I had a couple more stacks. That was the worst one. The others were pretty tame, actually. I think I stacked it like a couple of times on a blue in a choppy snow. And I had one stack which I can't remember if it was on the black or it was on the red, but like there were quite a few times where like something catches your ski. That's mostly it. Like you do your turns, you get your technique right, you try and lean forward, and there's all these things you're thinking about. But it's like how you bump across the snow, right? And how you respond to it. And sometimes your skis tend to like catch something and get stuck in it. And that's what tends to cause it. And I did this one turn where something really bumped my ski. And I was really like out of control, about to fall over. And for somehow I made a fist with my hand. And I bumped up and down off of my fist on the side, like facing the slope that's like behind me that I've come down. I just bounced along for ages, like 4 or 5 times on my fist, and then managed to get back up on my skis, which I think is probably a sign of just being more adept and comfortable with the skiing. But there are a lot of times where you catch something and then you wobble and you manage to get control again. And I feel like, hey, in the past I probably would have like stacked it there. So I kind of get this feeling like, yeah, I'm definitely getting to be a better skier. So that's good. But I'm always quite hesitant to. I'm not a sort of confident skier. I'm a cautious skier first, and then when things are going well and the slope feels right, I might speed up a little bit. You know, I'm not gonna like go off the rails and do anything crazy with my skiing. That's not my style. But anyway, so yeah, had a few moments here and there, and then I had this one moment where we're going down a blue, and it starts to level out before you get to the ski lifts. So pretty much every ski lift will have like this leveling out area before it, and if there's several ski lifts, you'll find they'll just be like these long flats of snow where everyone kind of like, you know, finishes their way down the mountain and then whizzes towards which ski lift they want to go to. And sometimes, most of the time, people tend to ski through those areas pretty darn fast because, you know, it's easy to go fast over the flat areas, and the snow had gone all kinds of slushy, right? It was not good snow, and I was going pretty fast down it, doing my left, right technique. So, well, you kind of, like, when you go straight, you can just think of your legs being straight and moving forward, and that's probably not the best way to do it because your skis can catch snow, and then one of your legs is going to go off to the side. So one thing you can do is you can put your knees more together and then make more of a pizza shape with your skis, or you can parallel ski, which is where you kind of shift your skis from tilting to the left and then jumping over and tilting to the right. It's kind of hard to describe if you've never skied. But you're essentially sort of going in a straight line, but your legs are like shifting to the left, then to the right. Left, right, left, right. So I'm doing that, right? Boom, 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 making my way down. And then all of a sudden, one of my skis catches. And normally when you ski like that, it's a pretty good technique for resisting it getting caught because you're sort of digging your skis in against the snow. You got all your weight on one particular leg, and it kind of takes all of that force. And for whatever reason, that didn't work. So, yeah, so I caught a little bit of snow, and my leg went high up in the air. I'm talking like above my other knee. I couldn't believe how much it set my ski up into the air, and I'm like wobbling on one ski now, trying to get it back down because I'm going to fall over the other way, which means it's going to go above my head. And I'm also heading towards another person, and I don't know how I got it under control. All this stuff always happens in the blink of an eye, but I managed to get my ski down and turn before I hit this other person. So it was just a very fast, chaotic, hairy moment where my ski was potentially going to go over my own head. It was just crazy. It was just crazy. But I loved it. It was so much fun. Mean Arside, thank you so much for 4 months of support. We've got Spearaggressing45 here. Almighty Mark Zero here with the Prime. Krebstars here for 16 months. Danny Labrat has subscribed. Snowy Elliott is here for 2 months. Greatly appreciate all those subscriptions coming through. Cheeto Sama, thank you for your Prime subscription. Hope you all enjoying story time. We got some messages from my mods. Easter holidays are about to start here. You were here just before the big skiing rush starts, so you were lucky with the time that there weren't so many people. So the way we timed it, it was Easter holiday here for parts of the UK. So we were kind of expecting that you might see, you know, like a bit of tourist traffic, I guess you could say, right? So there is local traffic as well as the more touristy traffic, and we were kind of thinking more about the timing in relation to our Easter and when it is. And that's a really good point, because next week there might be a massive influx of locals. So hey, it works out really good. I really loved it. I've always wanted to go to Austria. I felt like I didn't really experience like much Austrian culture, because it was mostly just skiing and hotels, right, in a very touristy attraction sort of place. But the mountains are absolutely gorgeous. One of the most amazing things about skiing, right? And you know, skiing is expensive. It's a type of holiday not everyone will have access to, but I think that everyone should, if they have the opportunity, maybe give it a go. One of the most beautiful things about skiing is not just the activity, it's the location. And there is something amazing about skiing with mountains, because the mountains move when you ski, right? So you can tend to think of mountains being like static things, like you see pictures of them, right? When you move through the mountains, down the valleys on your skis, the shape of the sheer size of them, the shape, the angles you can look at them, they're always slowly shifting and moving around you as you whiz down the slope. And it's really beautiful when you get those moments to kind of just like look up and not have to worry. The snow's good, you know, the terrain is relatively flat or gentle, and you just take it all in. It's so beautiful. And like, if you're someone that finds Mother Nature's beauty to be very peaceful and whatnot, it's a very graceful kind of, what would be the right word to use here? Humbling, maybe, because as beautiful as it is, it's also absolutely deadly. I kind of look at the train and I'm thinking, oh, isn't it so great? And I'm like, if all of the ski stuff and all the people just disappeared and you're just sitting here, you know, out in this snowy area, this snowy wilderness, you're stuffed. I ain't surviving the night. Like, you know, it's beautiful, but it's deadly. And I find that really humbling. You know, that we have all this incredible technology to take us up into the slopes and experience just what such a small fraction of people ever get to experience, right? Like, the things we experience today, think of all the generations of humanity that have suffered before us and experienced life in different ways. And here we are with just some incredible opportunities, like being able to be flown by a plane up into some mountains and whiz down the deadly snow on skis in comfort and stop off and have something to eat on a restaurant. It's remarkable. It's remarkable. Yeah, I just found the whole thing to be wonderful as always. Lucarosis and the generations that will suffer after us. If they suffer after us, you know. I'm more of an optimist for the future than a pessimist. I tend to get swayed by the latest thing that I've heard, though. You know, so stick me in front of some doom and gloom documentary, I'll be bummed out. Stick me in front of some optimistic thing, talking about all these clever technologies and things that we're doing, I'll feel better about it. I'm aware of that. That's just how my mind works. I think a lot more of us, our minds work a bit like that than we might realise. But I can only speak for myself. And so yeah, the last thing that I watched was a Kurzgesagt video about how the environmental movement has got some measurable changes now, right? Things that we are doing to make a difference. And obviously we have to keep going and do more, but like, hey, you know, we give ourselves a hard time over this stuff, but we are doing some things, and it's good to shine a light on those and obviously keep working to solve more of the problems. And skiing is one of the things that might go away because of climate change, so you know, I want to enjoy it while I can, I guess. Halacon City Gamer says, I love that video, gave me a little hope injection that I really needed. Yeah. Yeah, totally. I needed that as well. I've stopped looking at quite a lot of newsy content that was a bit too much doom and gloom for me, and I felt it on my psyche a fair bit. That, you know, what I'm consuming is really shaping how I feel day to day. Other people are saying they saw that video and they liked it too. That's good. That's cool. Shinny asks if you want the orange on the inside or the outside of the logo. Oh wow. If they could just, you know, I'll tamper with the image basically. I'll use a little bit of fill and swap colours around. They can do it whatever way they like. Yeah, so to explain to everyone in chat, I got hit by a wave of inspiration that I've been discussing with some of the peeps in my Discord servers. I don't want to... I don't know if I should say or not. I don't like talking about ideas I'm not fully comfortable with. But on that note, you know, what do they say? No harm, no foul. Like, this is just something I'm experimenting with a little bit, right? But every now and then I get amazing fan art sent to me. And I'm like, wow, that's so cool. I wish I had a broader way to share this and to put it somewhere that more people could see it. And I also happen to not really be a fan of like merchandise and t-shirts and whatnot. I've done it in the past. It's not really my forte. I'm not looking to do that again. However, you know, I do occasionally buy shirts. Not so much like fashion, but what I tend to buy is like a band t-shirt of some band that I'm into. Like the last one that I probably bought was like a Tool t-shirt because I got into Tool and I'm like, oh my god, this band's amazing. Now they need to be in my wardrobe. And then I realised I've never had a Judas Priest t-shirt and I was like, this is blasphemy, X. God, you are a horrible human being. So I went shopping for a Priest shirt, and while I was looking at some Judas Priest stuff, it just kind of hit me that I really like the aesthetic of this stuff, and maybe having a little bit of a kind of retro crossover could be really cool. So I was thinking of some of the cool fan art that I saw, and I thought, what if we get like a logo that mimics Judas Priest, and then you know, mix that with some cool art that I've had sent to me, and just see what happens. Maybe I'll come up with something with like, hey, this could be a cool like t-shirt design or whatever. But maybe not. Maybe a poster. I don't know. But I've just started experimenting with that with my community. So I put out a little bit of a caller. Just, hey, anyone who does like art and stuff, what do you think of this? Can you make me a logo like this? And yeah, we're working on that. Light the Lightning, says Saucepan. Yeah, I thought about the Metallica one. I felt like the Metallica one was a bit kind of played out. Or perhaps not quite suited to my font and my name. The Judas Priest though one, it just gave me a real good feeling. Like, yeah, that could kind of look cool. Like the right font and the right style for it. Another one was Iron Maiden. I thought their font's pretty classic. And maybe like come up with some like metal themed fan art. You know, pictures of the Doom guy slaying zombies and stuff, and mix it with like a bit of a metal aesthetic. Tip in the hat to the music that I adore. Something like that. But like, I'm thinking way too ahead. I'm taking it one step at a time. I just kind of want to see what this thing will look like and then take it from there. I love that X's music taste is so different from his personality, says Chicken Man. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't think it's different at all. I have no idea what that means. I adore metal. I mean, when I was younger, I used to think I was metal. Okay? It was my personality at one point in time. Who are you? Here's a list of my favourite bands! That's the kind of person I once was. Oh. How do you feel? I feel like this record that I'm listening to right now. You should listen to it. X was a 10 out of 10 metal teenager, says Carl. I was full on metal and hip hop as well. I mean, the thing is, like, people have ideas of what being into metal is, and, you know, when I was younger, I used to think that everyone metal was like a lefty and super liberal and that kind of thing, and then over time I kind of realised that actually, like, metal is home to, like, a lot of different types of people. And then I eventually realised that, no, the music you listen to doesn't define who you are. Right? But, like, the thing for me is that the music doesn't define who I am, but my love of music does. I'm extremely passionate about it. You know? Pantera says Saucepan. I think someone did. We had this record shop thing back on the Fullcraft days, and someone did, like, I think it was actually ska, like the Pantera thing for ska. A vulgar display of ska or something like that, and oh man, like, that was one of my favourite moments on YouTube, to do that record store, because people just came out with just pure gold in terms of musical crossovers with Hermits. There's like one of Iskall as the, like, Nirvana baby, and there's like B-dubs as Michael Jackson on one of the... Oh, it's so funny. It's so good.
Who are you?
Dang, I've absolutely shaped up this area a fair bit, right? I'm just trying to look out for the spots now that don't have a lot of slabbage, you know, and get it feeling a bit more consistent over the place. That's kind of the goal now. And I'm literally spending every little bit of stone that I've got at the moment to make this happen. Dedication, right? Belak51, thank you for 4 months. Stefan RBK, thank you for 28. Did I miss the Mumbo prank again? There was no Mumbo prank today because Mumbo's taking a break from YouTube. I hope he's doing well. I haven't heard from him. I shot him a message today. I'd like to know how he's doing. I think it's really important that he's, you know, seen the stress and been able to, like, make that decision, because it's a difficult decision for YouTubers to make. Like, there is this crazy pressure to make content that's emerged out of being a content creator, and it can be a hard thing to grapple with when you have that burnout. And so wishing him the best figuring it out, and yeah, just curious to see how he's doing, really, but I'm sure we'll hear from him eventually and find out what's what and how he's feeling. Do you like the show Twin Peaks? I've always wanted to get into that one, but I never have. That's all I can say about that. It's a classic from the 90s, right? Anyway, was there anything else I wanted to say about the skiing? How about some of y'all ask me some skiing related questions? I kind of just want to get it, like, all off of my chest, and then, you know, then we'll just be back to normal. We talked about food. We talked about the sauna. Skiing on some of the slopes, the ski lifts. Oh, here's another thing. So this happens every ski trip I go on, but I end up on YouTube after looking up videos on, like, skiing resorts and how ski lifts work, and just being fascinated by all the various mechanics of it. And I found a really great video by this YouTuber who's, like, super passionate about ski lifts and, like, explaining all of the mechanics, and, like, it was really cool to know how all the stuff works. So I've had, like, a total geek out on the skiing as a result. Are the ski lifts scary, says Short Insomniac? Not really, because the safety standards are really good. If you go look up some vintage ski lifts from, like, the 1900s, you'll be like, whoa, where was the health and safety inspector, you know? They used to be pretty ropey, and there's actually a type of ski lift that's just a rope lift. So, yeah, no, they're all pretty good today, and we were at some of the best ski lifts around. They're very fast. Some of them are heated. Like, you sit on them and the seats are heated. They've got little bubbles that you can pull over you. They're very, like, big and robust. I've also been on some of the more lackadaisical ski lifts that are a bit more exposed and wobbly. if you like, in the past. But, you know, they're all safe to a standard, right? Degley, thank you for cheers and bits, saying, have you considered adding smoking craters around the wastelands? Could make it feel more desolate. Have you considered making a wasteland creation server for the hermits? P.S. Love your work. Thank you, Degley. I was considering doing a dig for hire, like I did in Season 2 at some point again. As for ideas like smouldering craters, that's fantastic. I essentially want to go through the wastelands in stages. So like when all the stone is down, which will take quite a bit of time, we've done a lot today. When all of it's down and finished, then I'll pass through with some different textures, and then after that I may consider adding in... I like the idea of having some skeletal remains! Dun dun dun! Okay, that was me trying to be a little bit metal, but... Dun 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 isn't metal. I just learned that. Skeletal remains. Yeah, like bones sticking out of the ground. The smouldering craters would go really well with that. Favourite skiing moment from Ender Snow? Probably going to be Route 80, the red route, going through the valley. Because, as I said, like this skiing resort is high up. There's not a lot of trees. A lot of it can feel a little less scenic and adventurous compared to some other places that I've skied. Even though it was all beautiful and fantastic, of course. So that moment where we got to go through a big valley, the snow was great, the weather was just right that day. Kind of whizzed it down. Wish I'd have maybe taken my time a little bit more. That was one favourite. I'd say another one would be blazing it down this red slope that I described earlier, where it kind of like flattens out to more of a blue, but everyone like goes really fast on it. I had some really crazy runs down there where like you're bouncing and wobbling like crazy, you're going really fast, probably over 50 kilometers an hour. And yeah, I didn't do any jumps. We kind of went through the fun park bits, but I'm not really into that. I didn't do any jumps. I did speed test twice. First time was a little less confident. Would have been nice to have gotten back around to that again, actually, because I did both of those on the first day. So I would have been more confident and got maybe a bit of a faster speed out of that later on. And then that's kind of it, really. The food, a lot of the food, having a rest and something to eat was pretty cool when it was time. The other thing, there's one other thing comes to mind. I didn't take my GoPro. I didn't want to like be hassled by it, right? Because I felt like if I had the GoPro, I'd be thinking about making videos for YouTube. And I realized when I was there that one, you don't have to take it out with you every day. You don't have to use it all day. You can use it whenever you want. And I probably would have pulled it out for that Route 70 and recorded that. I kind of regret not doing that, so I'm going to take the GoPro on the next one and make the effort to just record a few of them for my own sake. Like I've got some video on my hard drive where it's some trips that I went on before, and every now and then I'll fire it back up and watch the video and be like, oh yeah, I remember that route, that was great, and enjoy the scenery again. I've got a really good video of the one with the frozen waterfall and the frozen lake that you make your way around, and like just having that stuff to occasionally have a look at is awesome, you know. And I guess I had like the wrong idea about what to do on that front. I personally ski in the park with the jumps and rails. What are your opinions on those types of skiers, says Elvis Parsons Cog? I don't think it's particularly for me, but like I'm very impressed by the ability, and it's really cool to watch as well. I say it's not for me because I am just like an amateur skier, self-taught, so, you know, maybe if I were schooled, I'd be perhaps a bit more confident on someone teaching you the technique and what to do, right? Funky Coaster, thank you for 44 months, greatly appreciated, my dude. Hey X, what was the worst accident you've experienced when skiing, says Burtek. I haven't really had a bad one. I don't remember. Oh, actually, here we go. When I was a kid, a ski instructor came out of nowhere and whacked me, and I ended up in the hospital. That was on my first ski trip that I went on. So that would be the worst skiing moment. But yeah, other than that, like I've never had a nasty fall as far as I remember, or anything really, so that's it. Do you like skateboarding, X, is the thinky? I like skateboarding and snowboarding, but I don't do them. I tried a little bit of skateboarding when I was a kid. I fell on my bum, and no, I fell on my tailbone to be accurate. Right, I tell you, it was the most gentle little drop-in you'd ever seen. It was probably like from your foot to your knee. It probably wasn't even as high a drop-in as that, and it was gentle. And we were at a skate park, like, you know, going down there to practice or whatever, not knowing what we were really doing. And yeah, I went straight on my tailbone, and I was like, I'm done. My skateboarding career is over. I don't want to do this. We got a noise in the ear. It's Mr. Miner here at Twitch, baby. 10 great months. Glad you had a great time on holiday. Thank you, my dude. I really did. I needed it. I hadn't had a skiing holiday like that for a couple of years, and oof, yeah, totally didn't know I needed that, but I did. Yeah, it was good stuff. Right, I think we're done with the ski talk now. I think I got it all off my chest. Can you believe it? What are we going to talk about next? What's your opinion on hot tub streams on Twitch? Says Nail Clark. I'm aware of these streams, and I just can't be bothered with it. Not appealing to me. I mean, like, the value of the content is obviously not the conversation. And I'm going to spend my time, you know, looking for content that interests me, that maybe has something valuable to offer. And, yeah, the hot tub streams are just devoid of anything like that. I also feel like they're kind of like pushing a boundary a little bit on like what's, I don't know, what's suitable on Twitch and not, and they always get caught up in these controversies, and I don't know. I barely, you know, I'm barely interested in it. Like, I hear the occasional story about some hot tub streamer getting in trouble and whatnot. X pretending like he isn't in a hot tub right now, says the Thinky. I could well and truly be in a hot tub, I guess. I might be a hot tub streamer. I'll tell you what I am. I'm a standing streamer, and one that should maybe now sit for a little bit. One of the other things I wanted to get done today with the Wastelands was this side over here. I don't think we gave it too much attention, did we? Yeah, this area over here needs a bit of work, but now everything's kind of set up for this. And what I want to do here in the middle is basically farm some trees. So we will get whatever we need to get that together now. I'm also going to have a little check and see if we've got any more stone anywhere. Actually, let's do some decluttering of the inventory as well. That might be a good thing to do right now. So all of this is stuff that could be unloaded to somewhere else at this point. Okay, so we'll grab these. And we'll move out of here. Ah, these blocks require that. And the additional beds. Or is that in something else? I think that might be in something else. Toolbox. Yeah, that. I'm going to put that one in there. Useful blocks. I don't know. I rearrange stuff sometimes. Right. We got Fegley here with cheers and the biddies. If you're doing bones, maybe a tar pit would fit really well, or we wait for the 1.19 sculk bit. Sorry, I just got ideas. It's all good, I appreciate them. I will just tackle the whole thing when I get round to it, you know, like right now, just doing the stone pass, and then later on I'll have some ideas for the other things. Big Papa House is in the his house for 26 of those mizumphs. Is that something Snoop's ever said? Mizumphs? I'm not sure. Hi, X, hope you enjoyed your vacation. Can't stay, but still loving the content. Well, thanks for popping in and resubscribing, my dude. I did certainly enjoy the vacation. Was there anything unexpected or surprising about Austria? Stereotypes and such, says Curls. Not really. I didn't really interact with a lot of people there, just because, you know, it's like, there's the hotel staff, and then, you know, you're on a ski lift, I don't know, people won't really like talking to each other. Plus, you know, most of the time there's languages and whatnot. Anyway, you're up a ski lift, skiing all day, have a bit of food, and then yeah. So I didn't like. We interacted with our waiter a lot, who brought us out our food. He was a really nice chap, but like, I don't know. I don't think first of all in terms of stereotypes very much. So like, I don't know. Other people's behaviour and whatnot was whatever it was to me. And like I said, I didn't really get to experience like Austrian culture or like a deeper sense of the country or the identity, because it was just a touristy place and we were just there to ski. So yeah, it's very much just that. X, do you think there should be dirt half slabs? Absolutely. Absolutely there should. 110%. Right, we need more fuel. How much do I have left? Hopefully that'll make some more. Is your armor black? It is this netherite colour. What do you think of alpha male red pill stuff? I'm curious, says Short Insomniac. I'm aware of these types of things, like the Chad memes and all of that. I think that stuff is really dangerous, personally. Like, it's one of the reasons I'm not really into memes is because they're a very oversimplified way of expressing cultural ideas. And you know, you also don't know who's behind a meme and like what their intent is. Remember, not all information is flat or honest, or you know, information can be deceptive. And so those kind of ideas I find to be a little on the destructive side for people. Like it invites you to look at the world in a particular way, a way that might not be in your own best interest, let's say. And if you take in a lot of that sort of memery media, you might just start to see it in the world and think that that is the world and that's the way things are. And I just don't think it's very helpful or particularly positive. I've never heard of alpha male red pill memes, says Curls of Doom. I was thinking more of the Chad meme stuff, but in terms of like the alpha male stuff that gets thrown around on the internet, I'm just gonna switch to sitting down. By the way, it's time to do that. If you hear some background noises. But as for the red pill stuff, it's like this whole meme about being red pilled. I kind of see it and it puts me off, so I haven't gone deep into it. So I'll get some stuff wrong here, surely. But like, I think it's this idea of like expressing your identity as being once on the left, but now on the right, as if you've been awoken to the truth or something. And it tends to fall into the category of like identity expression that tends to group people into being like, you're either on my side or you're one of the idiots. I see a lot of that online, that people express their views and opinions with a sort of derogatory kind of putting down to anyone who disagrees with them, like automatically, you know, like that kind of in-house joking about our group versus their group. A lot of what I've seen, to me, seems to fall into that kind of area. Could be wrong, but I'm not really into it. Oh god, I've been going down the rabbit hole. It's horrible. Wouldn't recommend, says Short Insomniac. That's the impression that I got on the outside. You know, this doesn't look like the sort of thing that appeals to me. So I kind of stay away. But I worry about people getting sucked into all that stuff, because a lot of this stuff is ideas. Ideas can be powerful, they can shape your world, they make you look at things differently. And not all ideas are true. They can seem to be true. You know, one thing I've learnt recently is, heard this quote about how we tend to have an opinion or a view on something, and then we use logic and reason to back it up. Whereas logic and reason should come first before we have a view on something. And ever since I heard that, I see it in myself and I see it in others, how the that your individual stance on something comes first, and then you use logic and reason to give you that link between, you know, the point you're trying to make and how you feel about it. And what's notable is that it's really easy to make anything logically like valid. Play a little game sometime in your head, right? Just imagine having like a horrible point of view or something really outlandish and weird, and then trying to use logic and reason to make it sound, you know, decent and good or the right thing to do. And you'll be quite surprised how easy it is to make bad ideas sound reasonable and to use that kind of so-called logical way of reasoning to sound right or whatever. And then, you know, if you can see that in yourself, you'll also maybe see it in others and realize it's quite a flawed thing we do as humans, the way we use logic and reason. It is a very interesting thought. And I do not know where we started. What did we start with? The red pill question. Tales from the Willow Tree says, change your views to fit the facts, rather than the facts to fit the views. Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely it. So in my mind, like, it's easy to be defensive when something confronts you to tell you that you're wrong about something, right? Whereas to be wrong about something is to be liberated in a way, because now you know a greater truth, a better understanding. But a lot of people struggle to respond in that way. It's a hard thing to learn. It is a hard thing to learn. I found all these biscuits, I'm going to eat them. Is that like a sort of confirmation bias, says Pridek? Yes, yeah, it could potentially overlap with confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is just another observable thing. I think it's, you know, always start with yourself when it comes to ignorance. Best to identify your own ignorances first, I believe. Like, I can see how, like, you know, you go to a search engine when you hear something that you perhaps disagree with or shocks you. No, that can't be right. You'll probably go to the search engine and ask it a question that is likely to give you the answer that you want to hear. So, let's say, you know, you hear a conspiracy theory that I'm not a real person, that I'm actually just a sophisticated AI that can make voice that sounds genuinely emotional, and have I gone off script here? Oh no, this is actually part of the script. Okay. So yeah, you might hear this this rumor going around on the internet that I'm AI. It's not true, I'll tell you that. But it'll be counter to your narrative. You'll be like, what? X is not an AI. He's a human being. I've been listening to his videos for years. I've never seen his face, but I know that, you know, he's an actual person. And you'd probably go and search, is Xisuma a real person? As opposed to, is Xisuma an AI? So if you search, is Xisuma a real person, you're more likely to find those articles saying that he is indeed a real person. Trust me, I'm real. But if you go searching, is Xisuma an AI, you're going to find those fake articles saying that I'm an AI. See what I mean? So that's like the bias right there. So when you hear a fact, the other angle to it, by the way, because I've put a totally different angle on that. The other angle is that when you hear a fact that confirms something that you believe, you're more likely to go, oh yeah, of course. And then you won't be treating that the same way as a fact that is counter to something you believe, right? So when you hear a fact that goes against something you believe in, you're more likely to be dismissive, oh, what's that about, and then forget about it. So you don't take in all information equally, and you have a bias towards things that you agree with, essentially. Surprise T says, I'd Google Xisuma is a derp. Thanks, Surprise T. Right in the gut. Can you do a capture X, says Short Insomniac. Yes, I figured out how to beat the captures. I mean, you know, because I'm a real person and all that. Definitely a real person. Right, I think I'm just gonna chuck all this stuff, like, somewhere. I think this stuff goes up here, yep. Oh no, it doesn't fit anymore, does it? Well, that can go in somewhere else. I actually have an ender chest that might be suitable for some of these items. Bonensat 360 is here for 3 months, saying good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Why do I feel like... Oh, that's because I still do. Yeah, I still got 2 more shulker boxes to put in here. That's correct. Completely correct. So I had like one for green things. That would be it. Greenery. And then I had one for lights. I'm playing this game so slow. Looking at these shulker boxes and I'm like, these really need to be dyed. And then I'm like, I literally got no dyes. I got no dyes. Last season by now I'd had all the farms, right? All the farms. Skylar McDoe's here for 20 months saying, hi Xisuma, do you think Mojang should retexture blocks like andesite, diorite and granite, not changing the colouring, only the texture? Skylar, not only do I think they should be open to doing that, they've already done it. They retextured the entire game a few years ago, so... and they occasionally tweak some stuff. I think looking at the textures and changing them from time to time, not a bad idea. Obviously you don't want to like flip the script and give it something totally different, but making tweaks and changes, more than welcome. You know, the game has a constant evolution over time, and I think that textures changing can definitely be a part of that, and already has been, I guess. Right, so we shall now grow trees and then chop them. For these need to be chopped, apparently. My shoe Bert. That's not the name of my shoe. My shoes have different names to Bert. I'm talking about a subscriber. My shoe Bert is here for 29 months saying, hey X, welcome back. Hope you had a great time. That pic you posted was beautiful. Have a great day. Thank you, thank you. I am no photographer. That is the power of smartphones. I just like, I stick out the camera and I go tap, 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 tap. And then when I get back, I try and pick the best one of all the little taps. Yeah, I wish I'd have taken more pictures as well. I think the next trip I'm going to go on, I might even write a journal while I'm there. That would have been a great time to write a journal with the downtime. Because I then started to like think back over the different meals that I had as the days went on, and you'd start to forget some. I kind of wanted to remember it all because like there were so many cool experiences, and writing it down can help you with that. But I had like this weird squid thing. I can't tell if it was a mushroom or a squid, but man, it looked awful, but I ate it anyway, and it was pretty salty and interesting. I had so much fun eating the food there. Had loads of interesting desserts. I had Philadelphia fudge cake on the last day, and dang, that was nice. That was some good food. And, you know, there were other things too, and I just can't quite remember them now. If I had a little journal, I'd go look it up. X is trying to convince us he's human by listing food, says Fast and Bullious. Ah! Jeez, you've sussed me out. Right. Let's start growing some trees. So I need like a whole bunch of okie doke. And a whole bunch... Oh, look at that. Perfect. Of birchy wirch. So we're just going to use some bone meal. Grow a little bit of this. Grow a little bit of that. You know? Chop them down. Oski15, thank you for 5 months of support. How has your day been going? X just got back from my B-Day party, so that was quite fun. I hope your holiday trip was just as fun, and that everyone else is having a good day too. Happy B-Day, or belated B-Day. I think that's the right use of that word, right? Trip was great. I've waffled about it all stream. Also, since I've been back, like I did the snapshot video Sunday, took the rest of Sunday off, and then I'm going to London tomorrow, and then I've got a thing on Thursday, and then I've got a thing on Sunday. So like I'm having a busy week getting back into it, right? Idyllic Valhalla, 6 months. I saw the name. I was like, I've done this one properly before. I'm going to do it again. There'll be no name butchering today. None of that. No. Go away. I said it correctly. Jeez. Jeez, these name butcherers. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I failed, apparently? Oh. Did I really? I thought it was... Idyllic Valhalla, right? I'm sure I got it right. Oh, I butchered the previous one. Well, I guess it's all equilibrium, isn't it? What are you getting up to in London? Oh, I'm having my mainframe updated while I'm there. X, since you've been getting into coffee, you could try going to fancy coffee place in London and order a hand brew. Oh! Oh, I gotta resist! Funny you mention that right now and then, because when I was out there on the slope skiing, it occurred to me at one point that a coffee would really perk me up in the second half of the day, which gets tougher, and that it might help with the skiing a little bit, it might help with the performance. Anyway, I decided before I went that I was going on a coffee detox for 2 weeks. So then when I get back into full swing with my training, I will use it again to get a little perked up and stimulated and whatnot. I do wonder though, like, I really crave some coffee. And I am good at resisting things I crave, but like, I am concerned. I feel like I will... You know what, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I was good doing, 4 coffees a week. Maybe one day it will become like a daily habit, I don't know. But I can get by on a coffee a day, that's for sure. But I do not want to like it to turn into an addiction. And at first I thought I'm good with it. And after going on that skiing holiday, I'm like, I am really craving this stuff. It's weird because it's not it doesn't feel like it feels like a little bit physical, but mostly mental. I think I really just like the moment of like a hot coffee, and I usually do something productive, like listen to an audiobook while I'm cleaning and enjoying a coffee. Like maybe it's the broader experience that I like. Anyway, I don't know. I'll see how I go with it, but I may or may not do that. I think he says, I'm not addicted. Okay, I might be addicted. Literally, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I experimented a little bit. I like it. I just have to keep an eye on it. I don't think it's a terrible habit. Like, I don't think it's going to turn into anything bad, right? But I just don't like being at the mercy of that addiction feeling. I struggled with it a lot in the past. As some of y'all might know. Like a lot of like my struggles and whatnot that I've had have been heavily tied to alcohol and drugs, and I just don't like that at all. Like, so if it's like, oh, now I'm addicted to coffee. Coffee isn't, insert whatever here, but like it's just so reminiscent of that, I guess, maybe. I don't like it. I shouldn't have coffee. I had way too much caffeine at the weekend. Like, so much, says Sunny Zero. Yeah, that's the other thing, right? Like, 1 can lead to 2, 2 can lead to 3. I'm very aware of all of that. I got a good handle on myself these days. But it's just the knowledge of... I don't know, it feels like maybe that can slip away. It might sound a bit pedantic to be worrying about this with something like coffee, but it's, I don't know, it's just the nature of being addicted to something. I hate it. I need to get away from it. Very aware of what it feels like, that sort of, like magnetism towards whatever it is you're addicted to. Like, I hate it. And although I might say like my addictions these days are working out and whatnot, it's not the same. It's like a flip side of that. It's like a structure, a routine. Addiction isn't. Addiction is the thing that gets in the way of all that stuff. It's like when you lose the control. So it's like working out is like an addiction that's your control. You're in control. You're choosing to do this, and you're doing it for the right reasons. The other form of addiction is not. It's like just constantly being magnetized to a way of being, a way of feeling. Usually to try and like mask other emotions and problems. And you're not in control when you're doing that. 1 sec to midnight says, X, are you happy with all the restrictions you put on yourself? Calorie counting, coffee, etc. Absolutely. I believe these things are freeing. There's those weird, like, 1984 quotes of, like, slavery is freedom, right? Now, that's kind of quite different, the point of something like that. There's a weird similarity, though, to the idea that, like, giving yourself a routine, giving yourself, like, commands to follow, etc., like, removing the sort of idea of freedom and sticking to structure, that can be very powerful. Because you can make better decisions when you don't have to do something, right? It's like everyone will probably, yeah, I'm gonna do all those things I'm supposed to do, if you don't actually have to do them. Of course you'd say, yeah, I'm gonna do it. So, like, if you get into the mindset of, like, being able to do those things that you don't want to do, because you don't want to work out, like, the natural state is to just want to go to the point of, like, the most, like, it's like your survival instinct is to take the route of least resistance, right? To seek out the most easy and immediate comfort. So when you do the things that go directly against that, like, that's strangely, like, freeing and empowering, because you're practicing the act of making the better decisions. So it enables me to prioritize things that are difficult, and then just build a routine, a habit of doing them regardless. And then eventually they just become what you do, and you don't have to think about it as much. So, like, every morning when you wake up, you're gonna want to just, like, snooze a little bit longer, right? But if you get up and crack on with the day, in 20 minutes you're not going to be thinking, I'm wishing I'm laying in bed. And then, you know, you're getting the most out of your time. I am addicted to opening my wounds, says Noogali. That, to me, sounds so familiar to say that. I don't know 100% what you mean by that, but if I were to just, you know, those words almost sound like something I could have said myself. One thing I identified at one point in time is that, like, some of the traumatic experiences that I've been through, or, like, issues that I had in my head, that I would sort of revisit them over and over again, and I sort of realized that, like, the thought patterns themselves were almost addictive. Like, I was just drawn over and over again to very, like, negative thoughts for a bunch of reasons. And it took me a long time to learn how to break those spells, but, like, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, really helped me look at my own thoughts and my brain in a different way and see it more like mechanical. Like, there's wiring up there that needs to be fixed. You know, if you think a thought over and over again, you create a stronger pathway for that thought to emerge in your head. And so you can get trapped, you know, and it's easy to dwell on hardships, things you've been through, the suffering that you've experienced, and other things of that nature. It's easy to dwell on them and to think over them again, and that can become, you know, a destructive cycle, and you can get, air quotes, you know, addicted to those negative feelings. And once it kind of, like, clicked over to me that if I treated this like CBT and wiring in my head that needs to change, every time I could catch myself thinking those things, I'd have to stop and rationalize and move on to something else. And it was just, like, the hardest and weirdest thing to try and do in the beginning. But slowly, I'm talking, like, over years, you kind of build up a little resistance, and you build up a little strength, and you start to get on top of it, and then you notice, hey, those thoughts, they ain't coming back round as frequently anymore. You start to get a little bit more control over yourself. But it's such a weird thing, because it's like, that's your thoughts. It's very easy to identify with your own thoughts and think, like, my thoughts are me. But if you examine the nature of the mind, and just do a simple exercise like trying to sit down and not have a thought, right? You can intentionally try to not have a thought, but when you sit down and try not to have a thought, what goes into your head are thoughts. They continuously, sporadically pop out of the ether and into your consciousness. And the realization there is that you are not your thoughts. You know? You are not actually in control of your thoughts a lot of the time. Drinking a little bit of water there. You know, I thought I'm thirsty. I didn't think that. Someone else thought it for me. Something else thought it for me. Yeah, so like, if you learn to distance yourself from your thoughts, you can look at your thoughts like, hey, which ones of these are helpful and which are not? And then you can start to like gather up the better thoughts, the useful thoughts, and visit them over and over again, as opposed to visiting the painful ones. And like, speaking of being like addicted to them, it's a really strange thing. Just thinking back on like that feeling of staying with it is so weird and powerful. It's like really odd behavior to look back on. It's something that I just do not do anymore. And occasionally I catch my mind drifting to some old thought patterns. I'm like, no. I see what's going on here. You know, you feel your mood start to shift a little bit. You have to pull yourself back in. Nope, don't go there. You know, what are better thoughts than these? Andromeda says, well, I'm going to try that. I've been struggling over the past 6 months to a year, and when I analyse what is making me anxious, it's nothing. Things I can deal with or don't need to. I guess I just need to practice putting the bad feeling out. Yeah, and so on the front of like looking at the brain like it's wiring that's gone wrong, you know, anxiety is there for a reason, right? Like the flight or fight response, it's a survival mechanism, but you know, we're not out there in the wild anymore, so these feelings can sort of appear in places that don't actually make too much sense. There's not really a threat there. There's not really a problem or a reason for you to feel anxious yet. It can occur. And so the best thing to do is to try and reason against it with rationality. Not with positivity, but with rationality. You know, if you're feeling anxious at work for some reason, someday, like you can kind of point out to yourself, hey, this is not a hostile environment. I'm surrounded by, you know, other people who are not a threat, not a problem. I've got food in my belly. You know, it was a sunny day outside. You can just point out to yourself all the things that are actually going well or working, and then that anxiety maybe goes away a little bit, you know. But it needs to come from a place of rationality. Like a lot of self-talk can be quite negative in your own mind. It's easy for you to put yourself down, and it's a tough habit to break. That can often lead to a lot of anxiety and whatnot. But like when you're putting yourself down, it's not rational. It's a negative experience, right? And if you can see it as such, and realize it's not rational to think and feel that way, then maybe that gives you a path out. Can one be too rational in a way that represses emotions? Where is the balance, says Curls of Doom. So I believe that the rationality is the balance, right? The rationality is the balance, because if the emotions are valid, then approaching it with rationality will let you see it's valid, right? If you're anxious for a reason, there's a reason, right? Like, and if you think about it rationally and you realize like you're having these anxieties over stuff you can't resolve, like if it turns out, oh, I feel like this because of that, you know, you need to learn to identify it. Like I talked about that before, having triggers. So like I have triggers, things that set off certain thought patterns and ways of feeling, and I've just learned to identify what they are over time, and it's like the rationality approach didn't dismiss that, it made me understand it. It made me understand, like, oh, this is because that thing happened in the past, and now I identify this with that. And so it's valid in a way. It's valid. It's like, yeah, you went through something, and now you think and feel in this particular way. But you can be rational about it too, and then see, like, you can see that, oh, this isn't actually happening anymore. You know, like, if you're in like a really bad situation, like you're being mugged or assaulted or something like that, like, and you said, oh, it made me really anxious, no one would go, that's not right. Or you wouldn't even say that to yourself. It'd be completely valid. When we're sort of saying, like, to ourselves or discussing it like we have in this chat a little bit, oh, I'm feeling anxious, I'm suffering with anxiety, I don't know why. Like, you know, you're not in a battlefield, you're not in some sort of conflict or harm's way. So, like, we know that there's a problem there. Something's not quite right. Because there are times when anxiety is the correct emotion to experience, right? So you got to sort of look for the crossover. Like, why is it that I'm now feeling anxious about this thing? And it might be linked to something else. And again, that's why I say, like, rational thinking about it, because positive thinking is to sort of, like, you know, put your fingers in your ears and la la la, it's not really happening. When you give it the rational thought, you might be able to identify why you feel that way. Oh, it's because this thing happened. And maybe there's nothing there. Maybe you've just somehow managed to develop, you know, a general anxiety when, you know, there isn't too much of a root cause. My experience was that all my anxieties had root causes, and the rationality made me realize how distant I was from those causes. Those things happened a long time ago. You know, I've grown as a person since. Those things are no longer a threat to me, etc., etc. And that all came from rationality. Positive thinking can't bring you that, because it's not about identifying, it's about trying to force your brain to think differently. You can go the rational route and you can get a proper answer, right? The Rogue says, how can I fix it? Wait. Addiction completely takes over the rational mind and creates fake anxiety. It makes me cry at night, even though my life is really good. Everyone's different, and I don't feel particularly well versed on talking about addiction, I guess. I always believe in trying, and seeking out information, and never giving up. And you fall off, but you gotta keep getting back on the horse, whatever it is you're trying, right? That kind of sway to just give up and fall deep into it is the thing that's got to be avoided. It's about putting up a fight, and you know, like, you can't fix it overnight, you can't fix it in a day, and fixing it is tough and difficult, and it's something that you have to practice and try over and over again. So, like, whatever tools you can seek out and try, if this thing doesn't work, try another thing. Like, you got to keep having that fight, and do your best to try and create some ground. And, you know, when you do find a little bit of ground, a little bit of way to progress, it's about continuously, like, chipping away at that, and keeping it going. And, you know, there are many different types of addiction. Some are more severe than others. A lot of them depend on the individual. I can't really, like, advise you specifically, but the thing that I would say is about, you know, never giving up the fight. You will fall off. It's always about getting back on. I guess that's what I got to say on that. The thing he says, it's all about self-control. How you teach yourself to control yourself is different from everyone, but that's the ultimate goal, to overcome both addiction and emotion. Yeah, I think self-control pretty much is a great way to describe what it is. You know, I was talking a little bit about coffee addiction earlier, and I'm exercising self-control right now by not drinking it at the moment. I'm just a little bit worried that, like, okay, I'll go into a window of using it again, and then when I come out, am I going to, like, be thinking a lot about it? And to be fair, it's like, it's not crazy. I'm not driving myself mad over it. I'm probably just being a little overreactive because I'm aware of my past issues with this stuff, right? And so even with something harmless, I'm worried about it becoming an issue. Why isn't he collecting the leaves, says Noz. I'm not after leaves, I'm after the woods, and I like to collect the saplings to replenish the trees. So we can grow more and more and more. Why did you start drinking it in the first place? What was the reason? Two things. One was just being curious about using caffeine to improve my workouts, and the other thing was being introduced to the idea that I hadn't actually experienced proper coffee. I'd actually only been consuming burnt coffee beans, the sort of stuff that you get at like Starbucks or Costa Coffee or in an instant coffee sachet. So now I have like freshly grounded beans sent in like a packet, and I brew it in a French press. And this is all stuff that I didn't even know was done with coffee. There's many different ways of brewing coffee, and yeah, this is like the, I guess, really into coffee way of doing it. We got a few noises in the air. We had, let's see, Clover TR for 3 months, Sniper 1974 here for 72 months. That was an Evil X right there. Brady Hodge, thank you for the Prime. Nanook123, thank you for 3 months. And Mr. Nurse Ratchet, thank you so much for 8 months of support. Greatly appreciated. Newbie Brain says, but how does someone separate themselves from its thoughts? What a great question. What a great question. So, you know, if you take this little bit of time to like try and not think, all you have to realize is that, hey, I'm sitting here, I'm trying to clear my mind of thoughts and trying not to focus on anything in particular, yet things keep jumping into my mind. That would be like the first step on understanding that you are not in full control of your thoughts, and therefore you can look at your thoughts in more of a perspective of, is this helpful to me? Is this useful to me? It's very easy to be attached and identified to anything that pops into your head, but as I mentioned, if you think a thought over and over again, it will be more likely to pop into your head. It's like when a song gets stuck in your head. So if I gave you a number like 26, and you just got to keep thinking about 26 every time I do this, 26, 26, like you tune into the next stream and I'm going 26, 26, right? You know, after a few days, you're probably going to constantly think of that over and over again, right? It's like an exposure thing. So if you have like a negative thought about yourself one day, maybe you're going through some hard times and it turns into 2, 3, 4 weeks, months go by, whatever, you can build up the pattern of that thought emerging over and over again. So if you realize that there is more functionality to your thoughts than personality on some level, you can choose not to identify with them as strongly. You can see, I'm thinking this negative thing about myself again. But like, that doesn't have to be me. That can be this repeating pattern going on in my head. These thoughts. And once you start to distance yourself, you can catch yourself and then you can hit it with that rationality. You can be like, hey, I'm saying this negative thing to myself, but really that's not true. This is just this negative pattern going on over and over again. And you have to work hard to break those thought patterns and distance yourself from them. And again, with time, in the same way that they can build up and become unhelpful, with time you can build them down and they can become less frequent. And then when they do pop in, you're like, hey, stranger, you know, haven't thought that in a long time. That's what tends to happen with me with quite a few things lately. It's like, whoa, blast from the past. Like, this isn't me anymore. I don't identify with that way of thinking. So yeah, we'll wrap it up there, shall we? That's a beautiful sight behind me. All these crazy things going on Hermitcraft. Let's actually let's get a nice screenshot of all the work that we've done here. I'm just trying to think of what's a good. Actually, I'll tell you what. Up there might be a good one. Ike Master says, just came onto the stream, can't wait for this to be an Xisuma Says waffle. Well, we got a team behind the scenes that are going to make that happen, I imagine. After the initial try, why did you keep drinking coffee? I found it really stimulating, and I found the whole experience quite positive. It actually took me about 3 to 4 coffees to really get like the feel for the flavour. But it was it was a bit more than just the coffee. It was like the experience. I had set aside this time to do some brewing, and then I was, you know, starting to enjoy the flavour, and I just sort of created like a good moment out of it, I guess. Right, there we go. There's a screenshot. It definitely needs more features because all those contours look a bit crazy at the moment. So there's a lot of work to be done on this. We got Qers here for 4 months and Schlaw94 subscribing. Thank you to the both of you. Appreciate it. Peeps, enjoyed the talk. Glad you all enjoyed it. Be sure to hit the follow button before you head out of here. We'll now go do a riggedy raid on Mr. Joe Hills. Also, I'm on TikTok. If you want to follow me over on TikTok, you can find a link below the stream. I feel like I need to start plugging it a little bit more, so I'm saying that now because it popped into my head. Anyway, this is the bit where I say thanks to all the peeps who subscribed, resubscribed, donated and cheered. Thank you to all my Patreons. Thank you to the mods. And thank you for all the peeps gifting subs. I don't know when I'm streaming again, but I do know that we're raiding Joe Hills right now, as I did say to Joe that I would raid him earlier. And I'm struggling to find the raid button. It's like I've gone on vacation for a week or something. Okay, there we go. Right, that's it everyone. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.